Hello everyone, Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. Today's video is going to be another book review, and we're going to go through the final book in this series, Lunar Chronicles, Winter. So let's get through this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my summary like I tend to do. So let's get to Winter. My summary of Winter. The people of Luna are cold, ruthless, and inhuman. At least that's how they've been portrayed. Until you meet kind and compassionate Princess Winter. She instills something in the hearts of Lunars that Queen Lavanna just can't stand for. Hope. Even marred with 3 vicious scars, she resonates true beauty that Lavanna cannot comprehend. And for that, Lavanna can't stand her own stepdaughter. When that hope begins to spread across Luna, sparked by the revolution led by Cinder, Lavanna is enraged and takes drastic measures to keep hold of her crown. Lavanna is vicious and calculating and will not give up without a fight. But just what is she fighting for, and how far will she go to keep that power in her grasp? Will our band of Rampian misfits be able to fight back against the psychotic dictator, or is this the end for them all? This is it. This is our final book in this series, the last one. This is all of it coming together. It's all coming up to this point with Winter. So we haven't really met Winter at all throughout this whole series. So I'm gonna put this disclaimer on before I get too much into this. If you have not read Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress, then you do not want to watch this yet if you don't want to be spoiled. If you do not want to be spoiled, then stop, go read those, and then maybe come back here if you want to know what happens in Winter, because this is going to have some spoilers. If you don't mind being a bit of spoiler and you just kind of want a general idea of everything that happens, I'm gonna keep it as spoiler free as I can, but it's just inevitable sometimes that some spoils will come out as I go through, because sometimes I'll have to kind of talk about what happened in previous books to get us to this point. So just want to put that out there. If you don't want spoils, then maybe check this out after you're up to speed. But if you are okay, or you've already read those, then let's go through. Or if you just kind of want to know what my thoughts were on the book, you've already read the book. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I check out other people's videos on books that I've already read, just to be like, oh, am I of the minority, or am I kind of thinking like maybe what others, or is there anything I missed, or is there anything maybe that like would help me to understand this book better? So if you're here for that, then let's go. Okay, so with that, thank you for that. Thank you for letting me get that out of the way. Let's get back to this. So this is the final book in the series. In order, you should read Cinder, then Scarlet, then Cress, and then you're going to come here to Winter. And as I was saying before I interrupted myself, we don't really meet Winter too much in the other books. We hear a bit about her. We hear a bit about how Queen Lavanna has a stepdaughter. Do we meet her in Cress? We might meet her in Cress, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So we meet her in Cress, and yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's been a little bit since I've read all of them. I do apologize. Typically I do my reviews as soon as I read, but this one I kind of just kept going with the series, so some of it's kind of a bit muddled. All became just kind of one, but this one we definitely get to see a lot more of Winter. I think we were introduced a bit to her in Cress, but it was hard to gauge who she was, whereas in this one we find out a lot more about Winter and kind of her heart and kind of her struggles. So Winter is a character that is the stepdaughter of the queen, but she is very beloved by a lot of people. Maybe the other aristocrats and fancy people kind of look down upon her a bit because she's kind of different. She won't use her lunar gifts because she finds that cruel, but that's also then causing her to have hallucinations and pretty much go insane. So she's got that going on and that struggle that she deals with, but she wants to stay as kind and loving and compassionate as she can, and she does not want to enforce her will upon other people. So that in a lot of ways makes her very endearing and makes her someone that you very much want to see the best happen to Winter, but she lives a bit of a sad existence. I mean, yes, she's rich and beautiful and admired, but she's very much trapped in a lot of ways, like in a way of she constantly has to watch out for Queen Lavanna, because Queen Lavanna is just completely vicious and nasty and just a horrible character. She's one of the worst characters I've ever read. But yeah, so Winter constantly has to kind of keep an eye out for that and not ever step out of what Lavanna wants, and so she has to kind of be mindful of that. She's also very isolated in a lot of ways. She doesn't have a lot of friends. Her friends tend to be animals, and maybe like she does have one best friend, which would be Jason, which we can definitely get into. I think that's kind of where we met Jason, if I'm thinking correctly. Oh god, so much happens in this series that one, it's hard to keep them all straight, as I said, and two, it's just like so much. Like that's why if you have not read this, go back and read them, because there is so much that just happens. It's so much to like pack in, and it's a fantastic journey. It's fantastic and exciting, and now here we are just waiting for it to all come together. And we've got Lavanna, who is just like raging and is getting more and more paranoid, getting more and more like determined to keep her hands on the crown. She knows that Cinder's coming for her. She knows that like there's whispers around and she's trying to squash it. She's got her wolf army going nuts. Like there is so much that has happened in this series that it is just wow. There's just so much to fit it all in like a quick summary. It's just, there's also a lot of like who to trust and who to like who's got what motives. And we've got Cinder trying to come to Lunar. So as much as this is like about Winter, it's not about Winter in a lot of ways. So this is very much a Snow White kind of retelling, because we've got Winter very much kind of like Snow White in a lot of ways. We also have all these other characters that we have grown to love that are packed into here. So in some ways I feel bad that Winter never really got like her book, her moment. But you can say that for like Scarlet and Cress too, because while Scarlet and Cress were having their journeys, the other characters were there. And I think just as the book has progressed, the more characters we have added, so the more like different dynamics that we're interested in and different plot lines. So like in Cinder, it was very much almost like one plot line that was very strong. There was a couple subplots, of course, but like Cinder is our main plot line. So Cinder is like our star of the show in a lot of ways. And then we have these other characters that Marissa does her best to, I think, focus on as much as she can. But unfortunately with the last book, and it's the last book in the series, you're just gonna have, unfortunately, Winter's story with Jason a bit overlooked because we have so much else going on too. But I think saying that, it also plays really well into everything that's going on, because I think things have to happen to get us to this moment, to have Jason and Winter in the situation that they're in, to try to save Winter and get her to a situation where she is free and she is able to like live her life. But yeah, there's a lot that happens. And if you know the story of Snow White, you kind of know what's gonna kind of happen. A little bit of it, I was like, ooh, what's happening and how's it all gonna come together? But just like with Cress and Scarlet, Cinder, these are retellings of fairy tales. I don't know if I said that enough in my Scarlet and Cress videos, but these are retelling of fairy tales, so they're going to follow some of those fairy tale like kind of dynamics. It's just a really fun take on fairy tales. It's a different kind of way of who these quote-unquote princesses are now and what's kind of happening to them, and all of the different worlds and the world building and everything. And I find it like fascinating. I loved it. I can't really think off the top of my head anything where it was like, oh, like what happened to this plot or what happened to that. Like I can't really think of any huge plot holes that made me go, what the heck? It was more just like so much fun. There were sometimes times when I was like, oh, that character just like disappeared and then we don't see that character for like a while. But that's something that's going to happen when you have such a huge cast of characters. Like we have at least 8 main characters because we've got Cinder and Kai, and then we've got Scarlet and Wolf, Cress and Thorn, and then Winter and Jason. So they're all gonna have kind of their own stories. I love this one too because it doesn't just keep them all in like that little box. Like we were introduced to Cinder and Thorn, so like we very much got to know like Cinder and Thorn's dynamic, and we got to see like Scarlet and Wolf's. And then this one I feel like shakes it all up. It takes everything that we knew about all these characters and it puts them all in different scenarios so that they are not the same characters that we were introduced to. They all have to go through a lot of growth, I think, in this book, because this is it. Like this is the end of the line. It's like all or nothing. We've got to figure this out and save not only ourselves, but save like this nation of people in Luna, and then save the whole entire Earth too. So like there's a lot on the line, and it's a lot of that feeling. Like I got sometimes a little bit of Hunger Game feelings from it, because we've got Cinder, who's like the spark of the revolution, and she's trying to like put herself out there and get herself like to the people, but there's like, it's hard to get to all the people because of how tightly controlled Levana has everything. So she's trying to go around to like the different quote-unquote districts almost, and that to me felt very like Hunger Game like in some ways, which I just kind of thought was funny. But it was also just like, oh my god, how is this all going to come together? And you had people that like would butt heads with each other sometimes, because there's some characters who had things happen where maybe they don't trust each other as much, so they were trying to figure out, are they on the right side, are they on the right, like are their motives aligned, and are they fighting for the same kind of fight? And yeah, it was just really exciting. I didn't even get into this book in itself in the cover as well. I think this is so beautiful with like Winter looks gorgeous. We've got like the purple sky, we've got like her big white wolf and like the animals around her, and she just looks beautiful in this cover art. And then we've got inside with Jason with a knife, and then Winter, and they're like against the balcony, and yes, very much just love the art style, and I had a lot of fun. I think this is my most heavily annotated one, because I was just like, oh my god, it's everything's all coming together. And this one, oh, that's also, I had a different pack. So typically when I'm doing annotating, I just have like this little 7 pack here with like pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And then when I was annotating Winter, I got like this new pack here, which I'll show you one that's like easier to see, which has multiples of like similar colors. So we've got like 2 purples that are like slightly different hues. We've got a red, as well as like a soft pink, and then like a hot pink. And then we've got a green, a yellow, an orange, and we've got 2 blues. So we had 10 colors in this one instead of the 7 that I usually work with. And that's just, I think I just wanted to kind of check out what these ones were like. I just gotten them in the mail. I kind of wanted to test them out. And I also felt like there was so much more happening in this story that I just like wanted more way to annotate. And so this is kind of what we got. I don't even know if I have a key, which I usually have a key. No, I didn't even put like a key for myself because I was just tabbing. I was just having fun and tabbing. And so some of these are going to be like things I didn't like still would be the green and like some surprises and info and stuff like that, and like some parts where I thought it was cute and sweet, and like some parts where I thought it was like kind of steamy and you know, this and that. So yeah, I had a whole different way. Oh, I haven't mentioned, oh my gosh, I have not mentioned this whole series, which I feel so bad. I might have mentioned her in Cinder. Aiko! Aiko is like my favorite character of like this entire series. I just love her so much. She is amazing. I love her more than I even love Thorn, I think. Even though I really love Thorn, I think I love Aiko even more because she is sassy. She is like fun. She is an android that has like humanoid personality. So she's got like a personality chip issue, but like, oh, there's just so much to Aiko, and she is so kick butt. Like she, I think, is more kick butt sometimes than even Cinder or Scarlet. Like, and by this one, I have really loved like how much Scarlet comes into her own. I even like how, I mean, Cress, as much as I love the character of Cress because she's so sweet and kind and adorable, she sometimes is a bit of like a damsel in distress, very much, compared to, I mean, we got Cinder, who's very kick butt, Scarlet, who shoots like nobody's business, and we've got even Winter, who's very sweet and kind, but she's got a bit of like cunning behind her sometimes, to try to protect herself, whereas Cress has just kind of lived very isolated, so she's very doe-eyed in a lot of ways. But I do like that there are parts where Cress is able to use her shellness because she is a shell. So in this series, shells are individuals who are lunars that don't have a gift, but they also can't be manipulated, and they can't be like used. The lunar gift doesn't work on them as well, so it's like two-sided in that they don't have a gift, but they also don't get affected by people's gifts. So she can see through glamours, and she doesn't get mind controlled like the lunars. Like, I didn't even get into all of that in regards to this series. Like, this series has so much so much that happens, and it's just so much fun, and that's where I'm going to come up with a video that's just like go through the whole series, because there's just so much, and it all melds kind of together in some ways, unfortunately, but there's just so much that happens, and it's just so much fun. So I definitely want to do just a video where I just gush about the whole series, but this one I'm gushing about Winter, and it's just how satisfying is this as an ending. And I will say I was very satisfied. I was very satisfied to get to know Winter, get to see these characters kind of push it even further than what they were, and have to like become different parts of themselves to really push through to get us to like a new ending. And there were times I was so mad, I think too. There were times like there's a lot of green because I was just I was furious, and I was like, why is this happening? What? Oh my god. And like I was just so mad because one, I just really don't like the character Lavana. Like a lot of times when you see this yellow or this green, sorry, it's gonna be about Lavana because she is a horrible person. She has no redeeming quality. She is just manipulative, evil, just insane in a way that like is just maniacal, and just she's a horrible person. But it makes it for a good villain to really like want to rally the troops to defeat, because she just she's got some things going. But yeah, there was definitely like so much emotion in so much of this, because it was just like, oh my god, what's happening? Oh my god. Like, and there was parts where I was just like, no, what is happening? And yeah, I think the only thing I'm a little disappointed in is we didn't see as much Thorn as I would have loved. But again, that's because we had 8 different characters we had to follow, and you can't have them all there, right? Like, I did get to have Aiko sometimes, but we still had a couple purple spots that were probably some of either his funny moments or maybe a little bit of Aiko. Yeah, I think that one's an Aiko one, because if I wasn't laughing at Thorn, I was usually laughing at Aiko. So yes, but there's definitely, I think, one of my favorite scenes of Thorn, just because it's just so Thorn, is Levana and him and Cinder. Like, there's a scene of the 3 of them. I don't want to give anything away, but like, there was parts where it was just making me laugh so much, so, which was much needed in this book, because this book gets deep. Like, not deep in a way of like too much of, I think that more happens in like Stars Above and maybe Fairest, of like the deepness, but in the way of like, we've got some stakes going on, and like, this is it. This is, we're all or nothing, and we've got to kind of get us forward. There, again, there were parts where it just really upset me, some of what happened. And then, yeah, I was just so happy to like see when other things would happen. So yes, this needed all of the emotions. All of the emotions were in this book. This book had like happiness, anger, like frustration, a little bit of like suspense, and just laughter. Like, it had so much crying, tears sometimes. Oh, the sadness that I was feeling through some of this. Yeah, it had a lot of good parts. So I just can't say enough about this series. So let me just show you, because I've talked a heck of a lot and I haven't even shown you my journal yet for this one, which this is what I did for my journal entry, because I kind of played on the Snow White theme, since winter's kind of supposed to be like Snow White. So we got the mirror with like a lunar kind of like crown, and then an apple and a bushel of apples, and we've got the mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. And then of course I find out the next book in the series, or like, it's not the next book in the series, but it's the prequel, which I ended up picking up, is called Fairest, and I'm like, oh, that would have been good for Fairest, but it's okay. It's okay. Yes, I'm definitely fave character is Captain Thorn. I should put an Aiko, because I love Aiko. And oh, this one also was a huge book. It was like 800 pages, all of this, like 800 pages I read. But with it being such a huge book, I read it really quick though, because I could not put it down. I've also got a note here that I never thought I would hate a character as much as Dolores Umbridge until I met Queen Levana. Like, just straight up evil. Like, yes, she is. I just, yeah. There's not much else I can say other than that. It was very much a fun conclusion. Very entertaining. Loved it. Gave it 5 stars, like, because it was so much fun. Just absolutely loved it. I love Winter as well. She's such a sweet character. She deserved kind of more of a moment, but you know what? I can't be too much of a beggar, because there was a lot that all had to come together. So overall, absolutely love the Lunar Chronicles. Could not get enough of them. I loved them so much that I had to like do a little Lunar Chronicles fan page, pretty much, where I took some like fan art that I found. I'll try to credit, because give your credit to your artist. Don't steal art, don't steal stuff and try to pass it off on your own, or use it and not credit. I mean, this is for my own kind of personal, but of course I'm using it on here now, so just be mindful of that, please. But this I did find very beautiful, and there's a website, I think, where you can get actually blown up like works of these, so that's very cool for anyone who's a huge Lunar Chronicles fan. I had a little bit of Aiko, and then each one of the couples as well, and we had the 3 characters up till Cress. I wish I had Winter and Jason. Maybe I need to just redo this just to add them, because I didn't realize I didn't until I put it in. I was like, oh, there's more than just the 3 couples. But yes, this is how invested I got into this series, that I was just absolutely loving them. But that's maybe that's maybe for my video where I really get into the characters. For this is Winter, and I just had so much fun with the story, and I hope you check it out. If you have not checked out the Lunar Chronicles, if you've watched all of this, check it out, because I tried to keep it as spoiler free as I could, but you're gonna obviously get some, but there's still so much more to learn and to see. So check out the series if you have not, and if you have, let me know. Who was your favorite pairing? Oh, it's hard for me to say. I do probably still have to give it to Cress and Thorn. I really did love Winter and Jason's though. They're like friends to lovers, and we had like Cress and Thorn, who I guess would be like friends to lovers more. You got Scarlet and Wolf, which were like enemies to lovers in some ways, and then you had like Cinder and Kai, which were like, I don't even know what they would be. They would just be like kind of insta-lovey in a way, just like Scarlet and Wolf were kind of insta-lovey, but Cinder and Kai had a lot more obstacles. Well, Scarlet and Wolf have a lot of obstacles too, but I think Scarlet and Wolf got to spend more time together, whereas Cinder and Kai spent a lot of time apart, and still like we were trying to understand. I will say throughout the whole series, I feel like I didn't really get as much Kai as I kind of would have liked. I didn't really get as much on like him. I got some a bit of like that he's a great person who's trying to save his like kingdom, and he's trying to like be an opposer to Lavanna, but I didn't really get a lot of like him. It was just more like, oh, he's a handsome prince, and he's like, oh, so dreamy, but it's like, well, who is he? Who, like, what kind of person is he? And like, I don't know, I feel like I kind of wanted more from Kai, but very much love Thorn. Thorn is just, I love him so much. I wanted more of him in this one. And Aiko, even though, and Aiko and Kai, and Kenny, I believe it is, Kenny? Yeah, Sergeant Kinney or something, or like Officer Kinney or Kenny or whoever. Kind of wanted to see more of them. But yeah, all right, I'm just kind of rambling now, so I'm gonna leave it as definitely 5 stars. Amazing series. Check it out if you have not. So that's gonna be it. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you will see me next time. Bye!